All right, so sales probably just peaked. And that being the case, that would mean that this is a horrible, horrible year in real estate. And that's what I'm going to be covering today. So currently in Greater Vancouver, we had 2,152 sales for the month of April. And if we kind of try to forecast where we are right now, we're at 1722, 24 out of 31 days into the month. So let's take 1722 divided by 24, 71 sales per day times 31 days in May. And we are pacing for 2,224 sales. So on a chart, this is just going to be a tiny little blip from where we are. Like it's going to move up ever so slightly. And the reason why I think sales have probably just peaked is if we go back to previous years, we peaked in April last year. We peaked in May the year before that. March the year before that. March the year before that. What is this? March in 2020, May 2019, May 2018, May, March, and then 2015, we peaked out in June. So we kind of did the same thing through March, April, went down for May, and then there was, a rally in sales to peak out in June for the year. But I don't see that happening at all. I don't see anything that would cause a, massive rush of sales in June for that to happen. So I think sales have probably peaked for the year. Right. And if we go and we look at the Fraser Valley, like, look how horrible this is. Look at that. Right. Like this might have been a March peak. Well, probably not. May will probably be a little bit higher than April. So a May peak for the Fraser Valley. Right. If we look at my market of Abbotsford, look at the sales here. Like this is brutal. Like this is even like we had more sales in October 2022, which was a horrible year. And the fall in 2022 was absolutely horrible. We had more sales then than we do for the spring market now. What's the result of this? Well, I think prices are probably going to bleed till the end of the year. But I also think that it could be a good buy window for some people, depending on their situation. And I'm not saying it is the buy window before you come and absolutely slaughter me in the comments. I'm saying that it might be the buy window, right? For reasons that I've covered 100 times, right? There's good product on the market that's sitting there. You can negotiate discounts. You can write an offer, get it accepted, and renegotiate after you get the inspection. You can put subjects in your offer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think, that might even be easier in the summer if we have a lot of inventory still standing and now there's less buyers, right? And maybe not the price of everything is going to go down, right? Like we're in a pretty segmented market where things are holding up a lot better than other things. And, it's not everything is performing the same. So when I say prices will likely bleed until the end of the year, I'm not saying everything is going to go down. I'm just saying on aggregate, you're probably going to see lower prices. And I know there's like the constant argument of, like, for example, the share of first-time homebuyers this year has gone up. It was 10% last year. It's now 12% of the buyer pool, and that's a 20% increase. So first-time homebuyers are capitalizing on the current market conditions. Either that, or there's just way less investors. So now the first-time homebuyers make up a greater share of that, market share of transactors, purchasers, right? But people will constantly make the argument, well, why would you buy? Just go rent. Excuse my language. Fuck renting, okay? I don't care how much more expensive buying a home is. My worst fear is I go rent something and then the landlord decides they want to sell 6 months later. And now I have to spend every single weekend accommodating open houses and doing showings for a house that isn't even my house. All the while knowing that if the guy actually sells this, I'm going to have to move again within a year after I just moved here. And then I just want to own where I live and not have anybody tell me when I should move or how long I should live there. And that's something you'll never have when you rent. So I don't care how much more expensive owning is. I'm going to choose owning. I'll rent if I have to rent, but if I have a choice, I'm always going to choose owning over renting. Now, that being said, I was reading this article today. So I think this is out of Bloomberg. Basically, they're saying we're pretty much in a recession right now, right? So they're expecting negative GDP growth for Q2, which we are in right now. And then again in Q3, which marks a technical recession, back-to-back quarters of negative GDP growth. But then for some reason in Q4, they expect it to be positive again. And then in 2026, we kind of start getting back on track to more GDP growth. Now, I'm not an economist. I don't know why that's happening, but this is what somebody who's a lot smarter than me thinks is going to happen. And they also think that unemployment is going to rise to 7.2% in the second half of the year before easing again in 2026. So economists are basically saying that things will get better in the back half of the year and into 2026. Now, again, just to come back to this Reddit post here, I did a video on this earlier in my channel. Here. So this was posted February 10th, 2006. And in 2006, he made this post highlighting basically the cycles of real estate, right? So in 2006, this guy knew the market was going to sell off. He knew that it was going to go up for the next whatever before tanking again in what seems to be early 2022, which somehow he got exactly correct. I don't know how. But then he thinks that the market would essentially bottom sometime in mid to late 2026 before starting the new bull trend, which peaks out in 2034, sometime in 2034. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just showing you that there's a confluence of things going on here, right? You have economists saying that 2026 is going to get better. This guy is somehow right from 16 years ago. And also, if prices do go lower, you would expect to see more sales activity come back into the market as more people can afford to buy a home, which would start chipping away at some of the standing inventory on the market. So it's been an awful year in real estate. Those are absolutely pitiful sales numbers if that is the peak of the market, which I think it probably is. That being said, again, it could be a good time to get into the market if you're an investor with a lot of cash, because cap rates are higher than they've been in the past right now. If you have to service debt, it sucks. But if you don't have to service debt, the cap rates aren't that bad right now in comparison to what they've historically been. If you're an end user, you have a lot of product to choose from. You have time to think about what you're doing. Like all the offers I'm writing right now, the subjects are like, I just did one that was 3 weeks long. 2-week subjects are like the most common that I'm writing. And pretty much every single time we're getting the seller to either give us a credit or fix a bunch of stuff that we find in the inspection report, even after negotiating a good deal off the asking price and selling below the last comparable sale. So I'm probably going to get destroyed in the comments for this video. At the end of the day, we're entering a recession. Apparently, I think we've already been in one, right? But at least it feels like that anyways. Things don't look great for the rest of the year. That being said, it could be a good opportunity. It could be. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe. I appreciate you for being here. If you want to chat with me about buying or selling in the Fraser Valley, link down in the description. Otherwise, I'm that Agent Kelly, and I'm making moves to move you. Peace.